Hey, thanks for checking in. I appreciate it. Hey, I was watching a football game the other day, NFL football game, and one of the players I noticed was 6'1", 208 pounds, that's exactly what I am. I had no idea I was in such great shape. Actually, I played football when I was younger. I was pretty good. I thought I might make it to the pros. A lot of people thought I might make it to the pros, but I blew my knee out when I was in kindergarten. And, okay, that's just a joke, a funny joke. I did play football in high school. It was the typical story. I dated the captain of the cheerleaders, and I was the star second string linebacker. That's right. I was second string. I didn't get to play that much. There was a guy who was better than me, and his name was McClintock, Jamie McClintock. I don't have a picture of McClintock, so that'll have to do. But McClintock, he was better than me, so he got to play and I got to sit on the bench. But one time at practice, he did hurt his knee. He hurt the cartilage. He tore the cartilage in his knee, and I thought I was going to get to play in this game against Baldwin Park that was coming up. And but what they did on game night was they put his knee in a brace, so McClintock was able to hobble. He had this knee brace on, and he was able to hobble. He could walk and he could hobble pretty good, so they put him out there to play. And we lost that game, and then what happened at the end of that game was he dislocated his shoulder. We found out later he dislocated his shoulder. So I thought I was going to play in a game against Central that was coming up because he had a dislocated shoulder, and he didn't practice all week. In fact, I practiced with the first team all week, but what they did on game night was they put his shoulder in a harness, and he was able to, he could lift this arm, but his bad arm was in the harness. He couldn't lift it any higher than this. He could do this, but he couldn't do this. It was kind of a detriment, but he was still able to hobble out there and do this. And the coaches thought that, even with this and hobbling, that he was still be more effective than I would be as a player. So they sent him out there. By the way, we lost that game 56-0, and it was a good thing they had McClintock out there on the field, because if they had me out there, it could have been a disaster. I mean, we could have lost 96-0 if I had been out there. So on Monday morning, the Monday after the game, we find out that McClintock has twisted his ankle real bad. He's got a real bad sprain on his ankle, and it's the opposite leg from where he has the bad knee. But the coaches are glad that it's not broken, because that way he'll still be able to play in the big game that's coming up with Jackson that Friday. And so they wanted him to rest. They wanted him to rest the ankle and the shoulder and the knee, the shoulder and the knee. And so that's what they did. I practiced with the first team all week, and McClintock rested. And then on game night, what they did was they taped up his ankle real tight. They tape up his ankle real tight, and then they put a brace on the ankle. And then after they got his shoes and socks on, his cleats with his socks, they would tape up around the shoe and the sock and get that real secure, so he was able to hobble. He could hobble. But what happened? The hobbling with the left leg and the right leg seemed to cancel each other out, so he could get out onto the field. And so he was playing in the game, and I was on the bench. In the second quarter, I think it was, whatever, he comes running off the field. He's wincing, real bad pain, and he's wincing. I'm talking about McClintock. He had broken a couple of ribs, they found out. And coaches were happy because it wasn't higher up. They weren't higher up ribs. If it had been higher up ribs, then it could have been life-threatening and could have been, puncture his lung or something like that. But they determined there was lower ribs and his life was not in danger. So they just taped him up, gave him some smelling salts, and they sent him back out onto the field. Now I'm sitting there thinking, hey, I think I could be better than McClintock with a bad ankle, a bad knee, a dislocated shoulder, and broken ribs. But the coaches, they had a different opinion. So then it was homecoming game against Southwest, and everybody was there. My parents were there, my older brothers were there with a bunch of their friends, and we were winning. It was late in the game, very little time left to go in the game. We were winning 3-0, but Southwest was driving down the field, and they had gotten all the way to the 10-yard line, so it didn't look good for us. It looked like they were going to score. And then the referees called timeout. He called timeout, the referees. And McClintock came hobbling off the field. He had a bloody nose because his face mask had gotten broken. It was smashed up. And he can't fix that. you can't fix it fast enough to get him back out there. So the coach yells, "Regan!" I jump up off the bench. I run over there. He goes, "Regan, are you ready to?" And then he stops. And he goes, "Wait." He said, "What size helmet is that?" I was like, "What? What size helmet you got?" I got it's a 7 1/4. And he says, "Give it to McClintock. Give him my helmet to McClintock." So you do what the coach says, or else they'll kick you off the team. And I don't want to get kicked off the team because I enjoyed this too much. So I give it to McClintock. McClintock's head's bigger than mine. He's like a 7 3/4 or 8 3/4 or something. His head's much bigger than mine. But the coaches, with a lot of determination, are able to get the helmet wedged down on McClintock's head, and he runs back out on the field. And then the very next play, what happens is the quarterback from the other team fumbles the ball, and McClintock, who just happened to be falling down in that direction, falls onto the ball and saves the day, saves the game. Hooray, hooray. Everybody was happy. So, that's the end of that story. Hey, thanks for checking in. I appreciate it. I hope you'll think about commenting and liking and subscribe. There's about 6 or 7 of these already in the box there. So check them out. I wish you would. Thanks again. See you next time.